Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Payson. Welcome back to everyone who's already a subscriber to the show. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now. Ethan Hayes, welcome back to the show. Professional MMA fighter Ethan Hayes with a record of 4-1, as well as also a professional boxer. Ethan, welcome back to the show.
Oh, what's up, man?
Always great having you on the show. According to Tapology, you've had 4 boxing fights. What's your professional boxing record? And I know you're coming off a boxing win in between your MMA. So how's it been going in boxing?
Oh, I actually have 5. There's one that's not on Tapology. It's on BoxRec. My first fight's not on there, but yeah, I fought in June. I fought a local kid from Morgantown, and he actually had a pro MMA fight too over in Colorado a couple years ago. But it's kind of a late notice fight for him. But yeah, I mean, I had some nagging injuries after that, so I didn't fight as much last year as I really planned to. But yeah, I mean, overall, I feel good coming into this fight, coming off of that, really.
And this fight is March 16th, live MMA at Waterfront Place 3. And you fought, if I remember right, you were the main event title fight last year. It was March 18th. This year it's March 16th, same weekend. And that was live cage fights at the Waterfront #1. And that was your MMA. You won the belt. This one's not for a belt title because it's at a different weight class. Overall, you've always said on MMA Fancast that you are a professional fighter. You'll take boxing, you'll take MMA. What is making you confident to come back in MMA after having such success in boxing?
The guy I'm fighting is actually a pro boxer too. He's a 5-5 pro boxer, and the 5 guys he fought are very legit guys. He fought Evan Holyfield, Evander Holyfield's son, went 6 rounds with him, and I mean that's pretty impressive. I mean that's somebody I don't feel like I would beat either. You know what I mean? Like another step up in competition to me, but he's tough in that aspect too. And I feel like if he focuses on boxing, I do too. So I feel like it's a pretty even matchup. So I feel like because he like focused on boxing for 2 or 3 years, I think, according to his Tapology. So I feel like it's a good matchup stylistically like that. It's not like I'm fighting like a D1 wrestler or something where I had to like really, really buckle down my grappling. So I feel like it panned out in my favor and his favor this fight.
Sure. Yeah, in MMA, it can go whichever way the fighters want it to go. We've seen MMA fights, even at the highest level, look like professional boxing, professional kickboxing, professional Muay Thai, where there's no ground or grappling or shots or anything at all. And obviously, we've seen MMA look a lot more like high level wrestling. So it's a wide variety depending on what you guys do. Certainly sounds like you're pulling for it to be primarily a striking fight. Is that because that's where your strength is? Because I've also seen you be great on the ground, or is that primarily because you love putting on a show? Because I know you're a entertaining guy. Morgantown's a home, or at least close to home environment for you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Amar boxing is equal. I feel like he has like a little stronger kicks than I have. And I definitely feel like my grappling's better than his. No disrespect, just by I mean all my wins other than one are by submission, and most of my amateur wins are by submission. I'm just usually always shooting submissions whenever I'm doing it, but I've seen videos of him with some really nasty ground and pound too. So I mean, if I have him in my guard, it's not going to be fun on my aspect either. But I mean, I feel like it's pretty even both ways, grappling and standing. So I mean, we'll see. I don't really have a game plan. Just go in there and just fight and see where it goes. I mean, I don't have like anything dead set in my thing where I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that shit. I'm just gonna go in there and do whatever.
I think that's what makes you a hometown favorite as well. Is you're a crowd pleaser. You have a very nonchalant attitude, but you're also a very high level, talented fighter, MMA fighter. Several years ago for 247, you had a clash of the Ethans. Ethan Hayes is you versus Ethan the Wolverine Goss. You ended up getting a standing guillotine on him in the first round, which is impressive at the time because he was a super experienced pro coming into his 11th pro fight. That was your 3rd pro fight. And I know you guys are cool. It's not like there's beef or anything, but he is now gone on an absolute tear, as you probably are aware, and is the 2-time double champ for 247. And so overall, how does that make you feel about that win that was in your third? That was in your third pro fight, because Ethan has gone on to do such great things. He was already such uh, a local, regional Pittsburgh product, and I consider Ethan a friend. He's an incredible guy. He's done great things. Are you more proud of that win over the last several years because of how well he's done?
Oh yeah, I feel like I don't get enough love for that win in the past. I feel like not a lot of people talk about because he's been on such a tear. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like all my MMA fights have been against tough people, not just Ethan. I've beat all of them other than John Ramirez, who went on to win the Ring of Combat 155-pound championship up in Jersey, which is a really good promotion too. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Ethan's done well, and I feel like I just never really get the like recognition I deserve for that. And it's not his fault. It's not anybody's fault. I'm happy to see him do good. Just makes me look better every time he wins. You know what I mean? It's whatever. But yeah. I mean, I'm happy for him, and it is what it is, man. I mean, yeah, I don't know how that'd go again. Maybe one day we'll find out again. Well, I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, who knows with the fight game, but and I'm sure as a, like for you perspective as a fighter, it's hard to think that people aren't maybe giving you your dues. I know many fighters feel that way because of popularity or because people bring up certain criticism. And you know this, the idea of the armchair quarterback in football is the same idea of the armchair MMA fighter, right? Where they're not fighting and it's easy to critique people. I mean, I say even somebody who's, let's say, 0-4 as a pro, yeah, that's not a great record, and clearly it's not working out for them, but they're still a pro fighter. There's still somebody
Yeah.
that is training, whatever. And obviously, like there comes a point where people, decide not to keep fighting. I don't say that to insult anybody, but there's times that, I interviewed somebody that now doesn't have the best of pro record. You obviously have a great record. And somebody wrote on his YouTube video I did of him years later. I did it years ago, and now his MMA record as a pro isn't good. And somebody wrote like, "Oh, his pro record is like 2 wins, 9 losses, or something." And I thought to myself, like, why point that out? He's still a guy that's put a lot
Yeah.
of work and effort. Like it's just one of those things. You're fighting a guy who's done 20, almost 20. I think you might be his 20th pro MMA fight, not to mention all his boxing. So again, it's one of those things where Chris Rollins is a guy that's been around for a long time. 8 wins, 9 losses, one no contest or draw, whatever the one is. That's a guy that's been training MMA for a crap ton of time. I think it's a great matchup. I also think it's you again, just like the Ethan Wolverine fight. It's you taking on veterans who have put in a lot of time. These are not easy fights. Even with a record a little under 500, that's a tough guy with a lot of great talent and great experience. So I remember last time you talked a little bit about the crowd. What's it like fighting in Morgantown? I believe because of where you were like raised and work, like you consider that like a hometown. Are you excited again to be surrounded by people that are there to watch and support you?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I grew up like 30 minutes away from Morgantown, a little town called Kingwood, and I live in the same county I grew up in, Preston County now, still in another little town called Reedsville. And it's like from the venue, I'm like 25 minutes from it, 20 minutes. But yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, whenever Nicole and Angela messaged me, told me they were coming back, it was like probably like December time. I was like, well, I better get my ducks in a row and start cracking down already so I can be ready for that. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, that was walking out in that fight last time was one of the best
Yeah.
moments of my fighting career, top three, besides a couple other moments, but not where I just happened to be at, not necessarily one of my fights. But yeah, that was my favorite fight to date, just from the walkout till won by split decision, a really close fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was sitting there and I was like, man, like they can go. They said split decision. I'm like, I believe that. Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, but yeah, I figure I have to rewatch and I gave myself the second and third round. But yeah, it was a really close fight and it was everything I wanted it to be. So hopefully we can do that again. Me and Chris can put on a show and say I'm sure we'll come out cool at the end. He seems like a cool dude. Looks like he runs a good promotion in Virginia, and I'm happy to see him do good. Looks like he had a show yesterday. It looked like a good crowd, and I mean, I ain't hating on the guy. He's doing good for himself.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a lot in common with any pro fighter, regardless of their attitude or some of their personality stuff. you guys are pursuing both of your dreams, which is great. I was there live for that fight that you're talking about when you were won by split decision. Incredible crowd. It was the main event. It was for title. Super exciting. And I think there's certain fights where it's not an insult to say, yeah, that's a good split decision. Like, I think there's times, and I'm kind of glad that you say, yeah, you can see that being a split decision. I'm sure the fight mindset is to always see yourself as like winning every round, but there's times where I think a split decision means that it's a tough, good fight, and you probably learned more and showed more by winning a split decision because that means there's some adversity. Sure, a 30-27 is a great fight, but that doesn't always happen. As established as you are, the guys you choose to fight, it could happen that you win in the first round, or it could happen that you blank them 30-27, or maybe you get a great round and blank them 30-26. But the likelihood of that, it's about going in there and putting on a great fight. So always pumped to have you on the show, champ. Can't wait to see you. And there's a bunch of other great, I'm up to, I think, 5 or 6 interviews from this card alone. I wish I could interview everybody, but I'm just trying to get some of the people that I can get on. So no offense to anybody that's fighting on that card. I always love to interview the winners afterwards. So if anyone's watching this and they fight, I'll be there. Love to get like a post-fight interview with anybody, including you, of course. Thanks so much for coming on. The live cage fights at the Waterfront, March 16th, just a couple weeks now, under 2 weeks away. Thanks so much, Ethan Hayes, for coming on to MMA Fancast. Thanks again.
Yep, thank you, Luke. I appreciate you having me on again. Hopefully I get to talk to you in the winner's circle in a couple weeks.
You got it, brother. Sounds like a plan. See you then.
Yep, later, bud.
You got it.